Shalom. All praises to Yahweh Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem Rakakwadash. Double honors to the elder apostles, the bishops, and the elders of GMS who rules well. Peace and salutations to elect. My name is Ayna. The title of this video is Feminists or Feminism Final Boss Fight, the draft in World War III. All right, I got this clip I just want to show, which I didn't find amusing, but it's the reality that we live. All right. That's why I got the scripture first. It says, we get it from 25, Ecclesiastes 7:25. It says, I applied mine heart to know and to search and to seek out wisdom and the reason of things and to know the wickedness of folly, even of foolishness and madness. And I find more bitter than death the woman whose heart is snares and nets, in her hands as bands. Whoso pleaseth Yahweh, Bashim shall escape from her, but the sinner shall be taken by her. Right? And a lot of people in these last days that think they about to get lucky, with all these women running around looking for somebody to protect them, they're gonna get these wicked, women. Right? Snares and nets, let's see. Right, snares and nets. We got snares. Say net, snare. It's like a trap. See what they're talking about with the net. The net. Right, these women are about games. All right, snares and nets. They know exactly what they're doing. And all of that, basically. Anyway, Ecclesiastes 7:26, it says, and I find more bitter than death the woman whose heart is snares and nets, in her hands as bands. Whoso pleaseth Yahweh, Bashim Yahushua shall escape her, but the sinner shall be taken by her.
Oh, by the way, I read something really scary today.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, apparently the higher-ups in Washington are already talking about bringing back the draft.
Wait, the draft? Like the military?
Yeah, but obviously it'd be totally different this time. I mean, they probably include women. They definitely have to.
How about I do the dishes? You go relax.
Okay.
But go on. What were you saying?
Oh, just how a draft would be so different now because, how much society's changed.
Oh, really? I don't know what you're even talking
Well,
about.
I mean, like, women make up half the workforce now.
Do not get me started about those darn feminists.
What are you talking about? We've come a long way in the past 100 years as far as social progress goes, don't you think?
I don't know. I like to leave all that big, complex thinking up to my husband.
Well, I think it's great. I mean, without the suffragette movement, you and all other women wouldn't even have the right to vote.
Yeah, voting's a really big responsibility. Do we really want people as emotional as women to decide the leader of the free world?
What about Title IX? I mean, we watched more women's college hoops than men's last year.
But the more I think about it, sports, like war, is for boys.
But without feminism, we would have missed out on some of our most inspiring world leaders. Margaret Thatcher, AOC.
Personally, I think their husbands are the real inspirations for supporting their silly little dreams.
What about equal opportunity in the workplace? I mean, you were an executive at a large accounting firm. That's awesome.
All I know is that there is a reason that most CEOs are men.
I don't think it's a good reason.
So where'd you read all this stuff about the war anyway?
Oh, some crazy guy on Twitter with like 14 followers went on like a 20-part rant.
Wait, it was just a guy on Twitter?
Yeah, and also the New York Times.
Oh, the Times?
Yeah, that same crazy guy, he paid a ton of money to get a full-page ad.
Wow, I guess they'll just print anything nowadays.
Yeah, but I mean, to be fair, all the other major news outlets have been talking
we'll
about it.
be waiting for you when you get back from war.
All right, so you see, it says feminism is a diverse, evolving social, academic, and cultural movement aimed at achieving political, economic, and social equality for all genders. It's something women push for, which was a whole scam by the banking elites to, allow these women to have jobs that where they can get taxed, and they're able to drive around and spend money on gas and, just, do all this stuff just for these elites to make more money. A lot of times I go, Burger King, well, back in the day, or, wherever I go shopping, because I don't eat at Burger King. You shouldn't eat at Burger King, anything like that. I was trying to make a funny example, but Walmart, you go to these different places, you buy these different things. You got an angry ass woman behind the counter, mad about the fact that she working, she'd rather be doing something else, a lot of times, more than not. They don't want to do it. But anyway, it says it seeks to dismantle a patriarchal system, right, which is basically a man's world, right? A man as a head, and that's exactly what it's going to go back to, and that's what it should have always been, right? And a lot of these nations around the world, that's exactly how they run their countries, right? But Satan, the wicked, went around the earth, stopping that, right? Disrupting the true order. All right, now these women talking about my body, my body, my rules, or whatever they was talking about, killing every single baby they have, after fucking everything, no condoms or nothing like that. Walking around with hundreds of these diseases they don't even know. A lot of times their body don't, it shows no signs of all the diseases that they got, right? And that's what they wanted, and that's what they got. And now they got World War III in the draft, and I hope they stand firm in what they believe in, and go ahead and finish the job, get it done. All right. It says definition and goal, a belief that everyone should have equal rights regardless of gender, sexuality, race, or class. Right, which once again, it was a whole lie, right? It was just a scam. All right, and they bought into that scam, and we're gonna see if they finish it. All right. This is Isaiah 32 and 9. It says, listen, you women who lie around in ease, listen to me, you who are so smug. And this is just a warning, and all of that, because women need to get in order, right? Things like this could happen, especially if of that age and you don't have a man of the Lord, right? A man of the Lord, you get drafted or whatever the case may be, because the Lord's going to protect his elect, all right? And I was going to say too, even for the men, because who knows what's going to happen with this draft. It says some of us shall be thrown into prison. If that situation arises, and you're denying, them that, no, I'm not gonna go fight your war, whatever the case may be, because if you're gonna fight Yahushua, you're gonna die. Then you maybe get thrown into prison, and you just have to suffer that, if that's what happens. All right. This is Isaiah 32 and 9. Even myself, I was like I said, I was thinking about it earlier. Because we at the end, these devils gonna come down. Everybody, scriptures say, let every man work out his own salvation with fear and trembling. So we're gonna have different paths and things that we're gonna take as we get down this end. Because there's different levels to this. They're talking about a draft between what I think they said, like I think 18 and 26, but it's around that age. You could be called up to go ahead and handle that. And you have to deny them, of course. And then, whatever may unfold after that, hey, you might deny them, they just leave you alone. Or they might try to do whatever. Remember, this devil got a lot going on, But anyway, same thing for women too, right? Isaiah 32 and 9 says, listen, you women who lie around in ease, listen to me. This is NLT. You who are so smug in a short time, just a little more than a year, you careless ones will suddenly begin to care. For your fruit crops will fail and your harvest will never take place. Right, so this is basically going into bad times, right? That includes everything, even a military draft and all of that. Okay, it says, "Tremble, ye women who of ease, throw off your complacency, strip off your pretty clothes, and put on burlap to show your grief." You see, the scriptures is faithful and they're true. They know exactly, what our woman about. You get the prophet of the twinkling ornaments and things like that. The braiding of the hair and all of that, the Most High know, right? He made us. It says, beat your breasts in sorrow for your bountiful farms and your fruitful grapevines. For your land will be overgrown with thorns and bearers. Your joyful homes and happy towns will be gone. The palace and the city will be deserted, and busy towns will be empty. Wild donkeys will frolic and flocks will graze in the empty ports and watchtowers. Until at last the Spirit is poured out on us from heaven, then the wilderness will become a fertile field, and the fertile field will yield bountiful crops. So we got to go through, what we're about to go through. All right, and then the Lord's going to return. Jacob's trouble, right? But the Most High, Yahweh, Bashmi Awashai, pursuant to Isaiah 65, is going to keep his elect in these last days. All right. Micah 7 and 10, it says, then she that is mine enemy shall see, and shame shall cover her, which said unto me, where is the Lord Yahweh Bashmi Awashai, that power, right? And that's not having faith, right? You're not having faith in what's going on. Proverbs 31 goes into that. That whole thing is about women having faith, right? And what she's involved in, and having faith in her husband, and all of that. right? Because for you to say in a situation like this is what Job's wife said, curse the Most High and die, dude, no faith, right? Whatever we go through, whatever we go through and we suffer, right? A lot of you women, is gonna give up, Now that's just what's gonna happen, right? You got to really dig deep, pray, but the Most High is gonna keep His elect, right? Right, and some of you women are of that number, so prepare your minds, pray for that increase of faith, right? It says, then she that is mine enemy shall see, and shame shall cover her, which said unto me, where is the Lord Yahweh Bashmi thy power? Mine eyes shall behold her. Now shall she be trodden down as the mire of the streets, right? A lot of brothers, maybe with a woman, and that woman, she done you wrong. She done you wrong, right? And the Most High is going to deal with that, right? So she might get drafted, took it away from you, but just know, hey, you gonna be all right, at the end of the day, you know. First Peter and 3:1 says, likewise, ye wives, be in subjection to your own husbands, that if any obey not the word, they also may without the word be won by the conversation of the wives, while they behold your chaste conversation coupled with fear, right? So that's putting on therefore the elect, right? Being modest and things like that. So other women can see that. Let me get it in the NLT. First Peter 3:1, it says, in the same way, you wives must accept the authority of your husbands. Then, even if some refuse to obey the good news, your godly lives will speak to them without any words. They will be won over by observing your pure and reserving lives. Yeah. I hear it all the time. A lot of women come to the truth and, they may want to dress modestly. Shit, they got their mom calling them grandma outfits and things like that, which, however it goes. But that's things those are the type of things that happen. But overall you win them over, and they'll see that as right. Shit, they'll, especially the time that's coming out, it's like you was always right. And you have that gratification or satisfaction, whatever the case may be. First Peter 3:3 says, don't be concerned about the outward beauty of fancy hairstyles, expensive jewelry, or beautiful clothes. Right, because especially now in our captivity, you're gonna get all of this and much, much more in the kingdom. We're all hoping for the kingdom. We're all hoping for much, much more in the kingdom. We're all in the same struggle together right now. Son of brothers, this earlier today, I just thought about it. What is it? It says I get an NLT. First Philippians 1:28 says, don't be intimidated in any way by your enemies. Right, this is faith too. And the woman could understand this too. However they come, don't be intimidated in any way by your enemies. This will be a sign to them that they are going to be destroyed. And the elect men walk this, they walk that walk. The elect, they walk this walk. All right. This will be a sign to them that they are going to be destroyed, but that you are going to be saved even by Yahweh Bashmi himself. So we do this thing boldly, right? We walk boldly, proclaiming, the things to come. It says, for you have been given not only the privilege of trusting in Yahweh Shai, but also the privilege of suffering for him. We are in this struggle together. You have seen my struggle in the past, and you know that I am still in the midst of it, right? So we're all in the midst of our struggle currently, right? And we're in this thing together, all right? So, First Peter 3:3 says, don't be concerned about the outward beauty of fancy hairstyles, expensive jewelry, or beautiful clothes. You should clothe yourself instead with the beauty that comes from within, the unfading beauty of a gentle and quiet spirit, which is so precious to Yahweh Bashmi Awashah. Right, so these are the women that has this ability in them, right? That the Most High Yahweh Bashmi Awashah is going to choose to be with his elect men. They're not going to choose some I can do battle by myself. I don't need a man. I'm a feminist. I'm going to World War III. That's not happening, right? It says this is how the holy women of old made themselves beautiful. They trusted Yahweh Bashmi Awashah and accepted the authority of their husbands. It says, for instance, Sarah obeyed her husband Abraham and called him her master. You are her daughters when you do what is right without fear of what your husbands might do. All right, let me read this again. It says, for instance, Sarah obeyed her husband, Abraham, and called him, for instance, Sarah obeyed her husband, Abraham, and called him her master. You are her daughters when you do what is right without fear of what your husbands might do, right? And the Lord willing, you have a, elect man, you know, you get elect man, all right? It says, husbands, in the same way, you husbands must give honor to your wives. Treat your wife with understanding as you live together. So, she may be weaker than you are, but she is your equal partner in Yahweh's gift of new life. Treat her as you should, so your prayers will not be hindered. Right, and equal in what? This walk. If you're elect, right, the gift that Yahweh Bashmel Shah is about to give us, right, as a body, which is the promises, the kingdom, and things like that. But it says you are the weaker vessel, right? You just a weaker vessel, more fragile and things like that. But they took on this feminist thing, you know, and that's pretty much it. They took on this feminist thing and they ran with it basically. So now the chickens is coming to roost basically, and a lot of y'all is gonna be doing this. And like I said, that's why I started with my first precept there. See how quick she switched up? She was changing. Then she was like, "Oh, it was just a simple little thing." Some of y'all still waiting for things to get better, hoping to get better. If let's just say right now, all hell breaking loose, but brothers see their wives. Oh, I think she, whatever the case may be, and they say, hey, "All right, guys, everything is good." Y'all gonna put that thing on quickly.
Would have missed out on some of our most inspiring world leaders. Margaret Thatcher, AOC.
Personally, I think their husbands are the real inspirations for supporting their silly little dreams.
What about equal opportunity in the workplace? I mean, you're an executive at a large accounting firm. That's awesome.
All I know is that there is a reason that most CEOs are men.
I don't think it's a good reason.
So where'd you read all this stuff about the war anyway?
Oh, some crazy guy on Twitter with like 14 followers went on like a 20-part rant.
Wait, it was...
See that? Oh, so the road not ending? What if war, talking about draft, and then they talking about, okay, we're settling down. We're settling down. That's how quick, these women switch up. But anyway, I just want to throw that out there. Lord willing, you were edified from the lesson. Shalom to the hopeful elect, which consists of men, women, and children. Shalom.